welcome back to the Blink Weekly Newsletter One-on-Ones with Bianca Lager. I'm Bianca Lager, and I help leaders navigate through tricky conversations and business moves. So let's get into the question of the week. The question is, I have an employee who is a super nice guy, but let's just say far from a strategic thinker. He is literally not capable of doing anything unless it is explained thoroughly in detail, and he is only able to execute literal directions. He often also answers my questions with detailed information I don't need and sort of misses the points of conversations entirely. I know he's not dumb, that was capital letters, or at least it's not nice to say that, but come on, exclamation point. How do I even handle this? He's been working for the company for years and years, and it would be a nightmare to try and fire him, but I'm losing my mind. Help me. Also capital letters. Wow, I think there are so many people who can relate to having an employee whose performance is really worrisome, really troublesome, and probably just like communicates in a really frustrating way. And when you are that person's manager, it can really feel like their shortcomings are reflected on you all the time, or that their shortcomings are your responsibility to overcome, make better, make them like everybody else. And I want to encourage you to kind of depersonalize yourself from this. And I think it would help with your tough feelings around it, because, recognizing that this person has shortcomings and then doing your best to get the best performance possible within their abilities is what your job is. Your job isn't to transform this person into someone who takes more time than others, into somebody who is completely self-sufficient. Now, just kind of getting that feeling from your letter, that might also be the problem, is efficiency. You're looking for independence and efficiency from this person, and you might need that because you don't have the bandwidth to support them the way that they need to be supported. And that might be totally fair, might be out of your hands. So I think there's a couple things outside of this person's performance and personality that are factors as to why this feels so frustrating. Outside from the fact that it is just frustrating to deal with somebody who is communicating like that. On the topic of them and who they are, one thing that really strongly comes to mind for me, and this is coming from someone who's the mother of an autistic individual, I almost get the sense that maybe this person is neurodivergent. There could be some challenges going on with them, or disabilities even, that you're not aware of. They maybe not even be aware of them. A lot of times with, spectrum related issues, these things can be undiagnosed for a long time. And I'm certainly not here trying to diagnose this person from, 3 lines that you've sent based on your frustration. But I want you to keep that in mind and put that lens on whenever you see challenges out there. We are all facing challenges and even disabilities that we might not even talk about, we might not even be completely aware of. And social communication is not something that everybody is good at. Now, of course, I'm speaking as somebody who teaches social communication really in business conversations. A big part of successful business communication is being aware of where your audience is, where they're coming from, and meeting them where they are. This person is in a place that is certainly, probably only ever going to, or is for now going to be an individual contributor. Now, I mean, if they're doing their job and they've been working there for years and years, it sounds like they are a good, if not great, individual contributor, but they do need certain boundaries and bumper lanes to help them be successful. And those might be entirely frustrating to you because you're not used to that either system of work or style of work and style of communication. So, in thinking about like what helps with my son even is having a lot of patience. Okay. It takes a lot of patience. And when you are someone like me and you're used to just like results, go, efficiency, that can be really hard and a big challenge to slow things down. But I promise you, it will teach you a lot about leadership, and it'll teach you a lot about yourself in how to manage through these tough feelings. So, some tips that I would suggest to try to work with this person is, first, talk to them and address some of these things in the politest way possible. Is to say, hey, I noticed when, we're talking about this, we tend to kind of sidetrack. What's up? Just kind of see if they have any conversations or anything to add or anything that they open up with you about, so that they can share like, yeah, sorry, I tend to get really distracted easy, and, something like that. And we have to talk about this in a non-judgmental way. Say and make really clear, like, I'm looking for ways that I can best support you because I want you to succeed at your role. Of course, we all succeed, together. And so how can I be a guide on your side, and how can I help keep us on track? Do we need better visuals in our meeting? Visual cue to kind of say, hey, we're drifting off here. Let's go back. A lot of times with neurodivergent folks, those kind of visual cues are really helpful. So what we do, like in our household, is we talk through transitions. We have a plan. We have a lot of visual cues of what's next. And that kind of also keeps us on task. Folks that have these kind of really literal brains and need things in detail, the kind of documentation is really important. And so you guys might want to look into like AI tools that take notes that can help this person be really detailed in terms of what are the action items. And you'll get used to maybe recording your meetings and record and use some sort of prompt to say, this is something that I need you to do, AI app, write this down. These things are incredibly helpful. They transcribed, and then that way that employee will have a really literal roadmap and instruction set to take back with them so that they can execute on the work. Anything else that you can think of with these kind of visual cues or conversation management tools that are sort of extra and supportive tools that you might not think about, or you might not think is necessary, or you might not need yourself, but a lot of folks really do need that. They learn differently than you might. They absorb information differently, and they process information differently. It does take sometimes reminders, lists, schedules, visual cues, all of these things. Probably, this person needs a lot of support and understanding and compassion from you to help support this. And even in conversations, and again, if you're doing this in a non-judgmental way, you can very much say, hey, we're getting off track and things like that. I think that all of that being said, if that sounds exhausting to you, if you're just like, oh, come on, like, how bad do I have to hold this person's hand? Like, this is ridiculous. Again, it might go back to what I said at the top, which is there might be more going on here with your patience, your bandwidth, and this simply might be more than you can handle. And if this is sort of out of your scope of leadership abilities, I think it's important that you recognize that. And I think that's important, an important concept of professional maturity, when you're recognizing that I'm running up against something that I kind of have a limit myself. This isn't something that I'm good at navigating through. I know how to navigate through, and you need help. So outside of those tools and things that I've suggested, if that sounds like not something that you can manage or help implement or, introduce as tools to organize your conversations with this person, then you either need to go to like HR or another manager, potentially even another team member on your team that can help and support this person. You might need to request budget for coaching for this individual, or suggest, some sort of online classes or courses that they can take so that they can manage their own work and work within this environment well. I think that to take the approach of like, you figure it out and like figure out how to catch up with the rest of us is only going to hurt you. So the more that you can do to get involved and work side by side with this person to help work within their limitations is going to be beneficial to your entire team. Now, if this is just taking way too much bandwidth and if they need way too much like one-on-one support from you, then yes, get those outside resources, look into anything else and try to have an open, again, non-judgmental conversation about what that might look like. The last resort really, I think here isn't firing this person. I don't think they've done anything to be fired for. I think you do need to consider whether they're a good fit for your team. And frankly, whether you're a good fit to be their manager. And this is going to sound harsh, or anybody's manager. You are going to run into folks with all sorts of limitations. You're going to run into folks with career limitations or experience limitations or disabilities that are going to be incredibly challenging. Now, depending on what your role is, depending on what's being asked of you, depending on the culture of your work, these can look like a variety of different things. And so the great leaders aren't able, again, to take somebody and transform them into something else, but they are able to see those people all their folks for who they are and create support systems so that we can get the very best performance out of them. Is it always fair and equal? Is it always a complete, equivalent time sort of balance? No, it's not. And if that's what your expectation is, then I really would question your leadership potential and your leadership career. And I'm not saying that as an insult or saying maybe this isn't for you and kind of being shady about it. Seriously, if this is entirely frustrating for you, this might not be for you, because management and management, particularly when you're actually managing folks, and when you're coaching them and when you're in a position to coach them to the next level of their careers, they are not working at the same pace as you. They are not performing at the same pace as you. They're probably not as good at their jobs as what you could be at their job. And recognizing that and understanding how to take somebody and get the best out of them, whatever their best is what the task is at hand. And again, there's lots of other jobs out there in the world. So if it's not for you, that's fair. Go do something else. Hopefully this person is able to find a manager who is able to meet them where they are. And I hope it's you. I hope that, your comment about them being dumb was just sort of like in jest, and that you learn that that's a really real dangerous water that you're wading in right there. So I hope that you're able to overcome some of your frustrations here and realize that the job for you is to help. So that will wrap up our Blink Weekly newsletter. I'm Bianca Lager, where I help leaders through tricky conversations and business moves. Looking forward to see you all next week.